Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today it is time to pick my May TBR, and let's start by going over my April TBR, where I'm at with that, because there are still a couple days left of April. So on my April TBR, the book that I am currently reading is The Beautiful Mystery. There's about 4 days left of April. I think I can hopefully make a good dent into this one. And then the one that I haven't touched yet is Out on a Limb. Now, I think that once I start reading this one, I will be able to binge through it very quickly. But I don't know if I'm going to get to it in April. I had so much hope that April was going to be the month that I finished my TBR. But alas, it has come and gone, and I still have a small stack of books here, but I'm not going to add Out on a Limb back to my pull selection. I'm going to set both of these off to the side. Okay. And then I also, in the month of April, got really back into a reading on my Kindle. I've been picking this up every day. There was a little bit of time that I wasn't as interested in reading on my Kindle. I was definitely listening to more audiobooks or picking up physical books. So I do have a bunch of books on my Kindle that I could possibly choose from for some of these prompts, but I'm limiting myself to one Kindle book that I want to add to my TBR, because as you can see, my TBR shelf is getting a little bit more empty, which is what I wanted. And there are a couple new books that were added to the shelf since my last time filming. I think I've already talked about The Entire Sky. This is one that I borrowed from my mom. And I think I've already talked about that one, but another one my mom just dropped off to me to borrow is Cloud Atlas. This was a book that I actually got her for Christmas or her birthday, and apparently it's a very intellectual book, and she said it was a little bit more challenging to get through, just the way that it's written and some of the word choice. So she said, because I read it, now you need to read it. So I'm excited to hopefully get to this book at some point. I'm gonna say I probably won't pick it for May. It will probably be a June, July, or August book when I have a little bit more time on my hands. I think that is everything that I need to talk about before we get started picking our prompts for May. Also, May already. I'm going to set my Kindle down here and hopefully not forget that it exists down there, but we will see. Another thing that I'm hoping to get onto my TBR is The Return of the King, which is the third book in the which is the third book in the Lord of the Rings series. So in March and April, I did a read a chapter a day challenge for that series, and my hope is to do that again in May. So if that one doesn't get onto my TBR through my prompt jar, I will be adding that as an extra one. So for the month of May, just because I feel in a pretty big reading mood still, I think I'm going to pick 5 books to add to my May TBR. Okay, I think with all that chatting out of the way, let's get started picking some books. First prompt: historical fiction. Let's take a look. Okay, for historical fiction, I'm going to pick up another borrowed book, The Frozen River by Ariel Lawhon. I have read a couple of books by this author before, and I have really enjoyed all of them. I haven't been into my historical fiction reading as much lately, but this sounds extremely compelling, and there also seems to be a mystery woven into this, so I am going to pick The Frozen River for historical fiction. number 2. Number 2 is flowers on the cover. Let's take a look and see what has flowers on the cover. Okay, the only 2 that have flowers on the cover that are on my physical TBR is When the Moon Hatched, which is a brick of a book. And it has little roses on the cover here. Do I want to step into this world? I was thinking of reading this in the summer, so maybe. But the other book that I have is Out of the Woods, which is the same author and I believe the same world as Out on a Limb. And there are little flowers in the ferns here. I don't think I want to step into this in May, especially because I want to finish up the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I think I'm going to go with Out of the Woods, and that'll give me more motivation to finish Out on a Limb in April as well. So then I can step into this book. Let's put this one back on my shelf. Hey, pick number 3. This is a thick one. Published more than 5 years ago. Let's take a look at what I have on my shelves. Okay, we are going to use published more than 5 years ago for The Return of the King, so then I can continue my chapter a day challenge for the Lord of the Rings world. So that worked out perfectly for me. Pick number 4. Plant on the cover. We got flower on the cover, now we're getting plant on the cover. Okay, for plant on the cover, I'm going to put a nonfiction, the autobiography of Eleanor Roosevelt. This has been on my shelves for over a year at this point, and I have been working on a video since last July where I've been reading biographies, autobiographies, memoirs, that type of book. So reading this book will also help me finish out that video, and that this book was kind of my intention behind that video. So let's put this on in May. Let's get back into reading nonfiction, because as I look on my shelves, I can tell I have not been reading a lot of my nonfiction because it's disproportionately represented now on my shelves. I've been picking my fiction books over that. So let us step into this very heavy paperback. And the plants on the cover there's trees in the background and grass, and I think there's a bush over here too by this tree. So plants on the cover, the autobiography of Eleanor Roosevelt. Okay, and last pick for the month of May. Last one. Orange on the cover. Well, I think I know what book I need to pick. This book literally has oranges on the cover, and it's also another borrowed book. So I think this prompt is telling me to pick Commonwealth by Anne Patchett. Again, another borrowed book from my mom. But I feel like orange on the cover, picking a book with oranges just makes sense. So let's go over my May TBR. And I do have to say that this stack of books is slightly intimidating to me. However, May could be a surprising reading month for me, and maybe I'll get through all of this. So let's go over the books and the prompts that I picked for them. Historical fiction, The Frozen River. Plant on the cover, the autobiography of Eleanor Roosevelt. Orange on the cover, Commonwealth. Flower on the cover, Out of the Woods. And published more than 5 years ago, The Return of the King. So that is my very ambitious May TBR. Not ambitious by the number of books, but by the concept and content of the books. And I'm still hoping to finish out my April TBR, so you'll have to wait for my reading wrap up for April to see did I end up getting through those 2 books. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.